Warriors! Woo! 2 videos in one day. It's Monday. What's the date today? Let's check it out here. We got February 8th, 2021. Breaking news. Brian Brooks talking about Ripple XRP, the moment you've all been waiting for. Well, it's kind of breaking, but he gives us a little bit of insight, gives us a little bit of clarity. Now, you can take this one way or the other. I'm going to break down this amazing CoinDesk video, but there's a lot of things going on. I told you guys after the Super Bowl, crypto was going to moon, and guess what? Today, it's going crazy. My name is Coach JV. I am the top health and mindset coach in the world. I promise this will be a shorter video. What I'm going to do is narrate this CoinDesk breaking video that I feel from Brian Brooks when we hear from the OCC, former OCC, head of the OCC. Now remember, Brian Brooks left as the top one of the top lawyers at Coinbase to become the head of the OCC. And remember the video I showed you before, you have to know the players. If you know the game, you can't be played. And as you look this way, there's a whole nother narrative going on this way. Now remember, Brian Brooks left the Coinbase, head legal at Coinbase, to become the head of the OCC. And he said for 25 years, he knew his mission and purpose. He was at the head of the OCC for a very short time. So we're going to get to hear right from the horse's mouth around what's going on with Bitcoin. Elon Musk, Tesla invest a bunch of money in Bitcoin. We are here, warriors. It's here. The biggest shift in generational wealth is here. Let me repeat that. The biggest shift in generational wealth is here. All the stuff I've been talking about for over a year now, it is here, warriors. So I'm excited to narrate this for you guys and break it down from my perspective and what I think is happening, right? So some cool things happening. Also, you look at Elon Musk's tweet. He put out a tweet that said sandstorm, right? If you pull up sandstorm in Geometria, go to Geometria calculator, pull up sandstorm, and comment down below what you see. Go to Geometria, type in sandstorm, what he tweeted a couple days ago, and tell me what you see. Comment below. I think you'll be shocked. So type in Geometria calculator, type in sandstorm, and see what comes up, okay? XRP, Ripple to the moon. My name is Coach JV. I am the top health and mindset coach. Remember, what you believe in your heart, you think in your mind, will eventually become your words and become your reality. We're going to watch this video together, and I'm going to narrate it as we go along. Here we go.
Is from Tesla buying up 1.5 billion, yes, capital B, worth of Bitcoin, according to a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Moreover, the filing notes Tesla expects to begin accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment for our products in the near future. Lawrence, Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, changed his Twitter bio to hashtag Bitcoin, tweeting in retrospect it was inevitable. And now Tesla has made this massive buy. This is huge.
It's huge. It's one of those things that, you know, if we think about Elon Musk, he's almost a religious figure. He's a cult icon, and him making this massive buy of Bitcoin is perhaps one of the biggest things that could happen to Bitcoin. Probably bigger than even if Warren Buffett were to switch his opinion on it.
Okay, so let's stop for just a moment. So remember, Michael Saylor from MicroStrategies is moving most of his assets to Bitcoin. Michael Saylor just had a meeting with 100 CEOs around moving their assets into Bitcoin. Now, Elon Musk, Tesla, is moving assets into Bitcoin.
Just because it's just reaffirmation of everything that the longs have been saying. It has this, like, you know, excitement, this new world to it that Tesla and SpaceX have brought in before.
Emily, at the same time, Tesla made this enormous buy, but Elon is tweeting about Dogecoin, sending Doge soaring as well. So what's that all about?
Yeah, before the Bitcoin news, Doge was the story of the weekend. And it's actually very similar to the GameStop phenomenon in the sense that it is a social media-driven price movement. It's not necessarily about Dogecoin fundamentals or Dogecoin technology. It's basically about social media investor sentiment. So I think the real question is where this price will go in the next few months and if this can last.
Well, checking
I thought it was Gene Simmons tweeting. That helps.
Okay, so breakdown for those of you who are new to cryptocurrency. It was talked about the Super Bowl. I told you guys, everybody's going to be talking about the Super Bowl. There's going to be price appreciation. You don't think that Elon Musk waited for the right time to implement that? He's been tweeting about Dogecoin. He was on TMZ talking about Dogecoin. I'll attach that video right over here, right in this area right here. So Warriors, the narrative is here. This is exactly what we've been waiting for in the crypto space. As I said, sitting in the barber chair and everybody's talking about cryptocurrency. The thing is, most people are going to get into this new asset class, the biggest shift in generational wealth, way too late. They're going to wait until the price appreciation skyrockets. They're going to get in during euphoria, and that's when you get wrecked in the marketplace, Warriors. So down in the description below, click down below. You can join our Warrior Academy where I show my exact portfolio. It's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Let's continue on.
Well, checking in on XVX Bitcoin price right now, Bitcoin is soaring up $43,713. It's skyrocketing after this announcement. So this is a good time to bring in our first guest. When we last heard from Brian Brooks, he was known as the crypto-friendly regulator. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency managed to get quite a bit accomplished under his leadership and brief 8-month tenure, including authorizing crypto firm Anchorage to become a federally chartered bank and publishing interpretive letters allowing U.S. banks to use stablecoins for payments and other activities. Joining me now is Brian Brooks, former acting comptroller of the currency.
Okay, so let's just pause for a moment. All you XRP Ripple holders, remember what happened. We're sitting there hanging out around December 22nd, Christmas break, right? All of a sudden, SEC announces there's a lawsuit against Ripple. Now, this happened about 7 to 10 years ago, I think it was the actual act that they're suing Ripple for. This caused a frenzy and a panic in the market, and most of the weak investors ran for the hills. Most of you guys dumped your XRP bags because you listened to your barber, you listened to your nail salon, and you went running for the hills, not really having context on how these things play out, how they're ushering in regulation. Think about what's happening. Behind the scenes, they are working to get regulation as fast as possible because the banks want a piece of this. Everybody wants a piece of this pie, Warriors. As you look this way, there's a whole nother narrative going on this way.
Welcome, Brian.
Hey, Christine, thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. So, Brian, what do you think of public companies converting their treasuries to Bitcoin? We have Tesla's SEC filing today, and MicroStrategy continues to make big Bitcoin buys. Are they becoming Bitcoin ETFs?
Well, it's a great question. I think for people who are invested in Bitcoin, it's exciting news. For people who are looking at the rest of the world, it's actually a little bit scary news, because I think there are reasons why the price of Bitcoin is rising so fast and why companies are replacing.
Okay, I need you to listen to this right now. What have I been telling you about the narrative about cash is trash? Listen to what he just said. People who are in cryptocurrency, this is exciting news. The regular everyday public that has no idea what's going on, they have no clue that the biggest crash is coming.
Dollar holdings with Bitcoin holdings. So just this morning, Christine, I looked at the money supply in the United States, and here's some shocking news that I'll bet you might have an instinct on, but you may not know these numbers. So did you know that the money supply in the United States since the coronavirus pandemic started is up 25%? And once this second round of stimulus is done here in the next few days, the money supply will be up 40% versus 12 months ago. That's crazy, right? Because if you think about it, the way inflation works is the more of an asset you have, the less valuable it is, which means if you...
Okay, so I've been sharing you guys this. I've been teaching you the game for a long time. Since 1971, we became a printing machine. But since the housing crisis, there's been since Bitcoin's inception, there's been more fiat currency printed than in history. And specifically in the last 12 months since the pandemic, there has been a massive amount. He just told you 40%. Warriors, cash is trash. It's deflating at a rapid pace as they have a flexible inflation rate. That means your products and services are going up, the cost of them. As your money value goes down, that's why these rich people are running to cryptocurrency. As you're sitting there stacking the cash in your bank account, waiting for a crash, your cash is trash.
You have 40% more dollars. The dollars are worth a lot less than they were a year ago. And that would explain why a lot of institutions want to have Bitcoin sitting in their treasury, because it's a more stable source of value over the long haul, potentially.
Let's talk about Washington for a second. So despite the fact that Trump himself said he was not a fan of Bitcoin, the Trump administration is actually considered to be relatively friendly towards cryptocurrency, at least on the regulatory side. I'm curious what you think will happen going forward. How you think the Biden administration will deal with cryptocurrency? Do you think there will be a backlash, or do you think it will continue in the same friendly vein?
Well, it's really hard to know because crypto is interestingly nonpartisan. Its biggest fans include both Democrats and Republicans, and its biggest opponents include both Democrats and Republicans. And so I think the better predictor is not Biden versus Trump. The better predictor is ultimately who has the strongest thesis for this stuff. And as I've said many times before, my thesis is that there is a thing about decentralization. It is both a freer technology and it is also a more sound money strategy than central bank governed money printing approaches, which is kind of what we've done historically. Obviously, there's some people coming into the Biden administration who agree with that. If it is true that Michael Barr is my successor at the OCC, I think he's likely to have more of a thesis similar to mine on this. He has a background having spent some time on the Ripple advisory board, for example. And on the other hand, Secretary Yellen has said some relatively skeptical.
Okay, did you hear that? He said that the SEC chairman potentially coming in, has sat on the Ripple board. Did you catch that?
Skeptical things about the asset class. So I don't think it's a partisan issue. I think it's more about who's a tech adopter and who's an innovator versus who isn't.
Brian, speaking of Ripple, you worked at Coinbase. You worked in the government, albeit for under a year. So tell us, is XRP a security, yes or no?
Listen closely to what he says.
Well, these are complicated questions and matters of pending litigation, so who can say? But here's what I would tell you, though, which I think is the most important issue about XRP, and that is there is a difference, okay? There's a difference between the way in which an asset is distributed and the nature of the asset at a given moment in time. And I think the issue in Ripple that gets lost in all of the discussion is whatever happened in the original distribution of XRP tokens, 10 years ago, and whether that was or wasn't an unregistered securities offering, that's what the courts will decide. That's a different question from whether XRP today is a security. And the SEC itself has said that assets can change their nature over time as they achieve utility and as they achieve decentralization.
Okay, so I'll share with you my interpretation of that. He's saying, listen, we're focusing on what happened 7 to 10 years ago. We're not focused on right now. And they've said that it can change its status, right? From a security, maybe it was traded as a security the way they did it back then, which they'll probably pay, payout or a settlement, right? And then it can change. So an asset class can change.
So if I had to make a prediction, I'll just make a quick prediction. And that is that there is a settlement to be done here somewhere. And the settlement has to do with the distribution of the tokens so that existing token holders can continue to trade them and find value in them the way that they do.
That's great news. That's great news. So the settlement is to be done with what happened. And so the traders like us can continue on with our lives and become the new uncommon 1%.
So while you were at Coinbase and you were legal counsel there, how did you approach XRP? How did you guys look at it? Did you think about this issue when it was approved for trading?
Yeah, absolutely. And, without getting into any secrets, I think most of this is a matter of public record. When I was at Coinbase, we organized something called the Crypto Rating Council, the point of which was to risk rate these tokens from a securities law perspective. And the idea was to be a little bit like the Motion Picture Association, where, we weren't saying that PG tokens were better than R-rated tokens, but we were saying R-rated tokens are riskier, okay? And what we said about XRP was, listen, compared to Bitcoin and ETH, it has more hallmarks of a security, but we believed was still distinguishable from classic securities. So it was farther along the spectrum, but we did not regard it as all the way off the other side. Now, once the SEC filed the lawsuit, that, of course, changes the risk calculus. Well, I'm not going to say it was PG-13 or R or PG, but you can see we gave it a rating of a 4 or 4.5 on a 5-point scale. So not a 5, but definitely not a 2.
Emily, you want to jump in?
Yes, thank you. Going back to the Coinbase issue, would a Coinbase...
Okay, so I'll leave it right there. So you're saying there is a chance, Dumb and Dumber. All right, Warriors, this is exciting news. All this is telling you, Warriors, we're getting closer and closer and closer to absolute retail adoption. The FOMO is coming. Everybody was talking about it during the Super Bowl. Barbershops are talking about it, Warriors. We are not even close to price appreciation, where we're going to go. And I'm not just talking about Ripple XRP. I'm talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, 88, all these coins. What I would be careful with in the space, Warriors, is being fundamental and understanding that it's all about the real world solve. The way that I invest in cryptocurrency is looking at the real utility of the actual coin. My portfolio is a very solid fundamental portfolio. All the coins I'm invested in have real world sol. Okay. Now, yes, I FOMO'd into Dogecoin just like everybody else, and I'm riding those bags and I'm sitting on it. But I'm going to use the profits from Dogecoin to put it back into fundamental coins. 80% of my portfolio is long term, 20% is riskier holdings like Dogecoin, excuse me. But are you starting to see what's happening right now, Warriors? The narrative is thick. They are talking about it non-stop. The biggest shift in generational wealth is right now, Warriors. And about 10 years from now, some of you are going to come back and watch these videos and say, I should have got involved in the biggest shift in generational wealth. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just documenting my journey into the quantum financial system and the fourth industrial revolution from over 12 years of banking experience and studying the deep issues around money for the last 9 years, Warriors. And as Brian Brooks said himself, the former head of the OCC, excuse me. Well, he didn't say this exactly, but Ray Dalio says, cash is trash. So quit sitting on your cash, put it in assets, and let's get after it, Warriors. So if you want to join our private Facebook group, free Facebook group down below, everything's in the description. If you want to join our Warrior Academy, what does it include? It's not just cryptocurrency, Warriors. We work out with you live daily. We do nutrition, subconscious mind programming around wealth, goal setting, leadership training. We also show you my portfolio. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. I just show you exactly what I'm doing. A cryptocurrency call every single Thursday. Sometimes we bring on special guests like Crypto Cito, who's been around 30 different countries building crypto communities. We also have one of the best discords in the world, in my opinion, of course. Over 500 warriors in there helping and supporting each other. So we constantly help and support each other grow into this new asset class. It's brand new. So if it's confusing, that's normal, Warriors. And we're working to make the complex simple for you in our Warrior Academy. But if not, join the private Facebook group and we'll see you on the other side. If you have any questions about anything, go to my Instagram page, CoachJV_, and I answer every single question. As we always say, Warriors, rise, let's go.